Wooden base. Pine base. Wooden base. Pine base. And it gets your face like warmed up.
Super serious.
Where nothing fun or funny ever happens.
This is a super serious thing.
I don't even like dogs.
Super serious. Go. Super serious. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Super Serious Dog Podcast. This episode is sponsored by Puppyscapes, which we'll talk about later. Today, you guys will notice that we are joined by two people for the price of one. That's right. Today we have Corey Shields and Teresa DeMore of Boston for the Dogs. So welcome, you guys.
How are you? Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So as typical tradition for this podcast, we always like to ask a little icebreaker question. So I'm going to start with Teresa just because she's prettier than you, Corey. Sorry.
Fair.
Deal with it. If your dog could drink caffeine, what would be their go-to pick-me-up?
My God.
Or dogs, plural.
To be honest, I mean, if you knew my dog, I would stay completely clear away from the caffeine for him because he's already a psycho. Yeah. Corey knows just from yesterday playing around with him. I'm still just putting him on, strictly decaf. Don't care about the brand. Don't care about anything like that.
But this is if he could have whatever he wanted. So you got to think about that. Like,
is he like a Red Bull guy or a coffee guy
he's definitely a Bang guy.
Bang.
Oh God, that's so much caffeine. Oh my God. Dude, I know so many people who drink those and I'm just like, how are you not fucking dead? Like, that's crazy. What about you, Corey?
I think just like whatever the largest Red Bull is they make.
20 ounces.
There we go. Let's do it.
Damn.
20 ounces.
Damn, Courtney. You knew that?
Yeah.
I used to drink like 3 of them a day. So that was my hydration throughout the day.
Yeah. If you guys want to learn about burnout, you should go listen to our episode about burnout because we talked a lot about
I talk a lot about drinking Red Bull.
Yeah.
Good times. Good times.
That's too funny. So, Corey, why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm one of the co-owners of Boston for the Dogs, and we're in our 6th year now, 6th or 7th. Woo! Yeah. And we do primarily hiking and walking, and then we always had a training section, and sort of since COVID, we've really had to pivot and gone kind of full training. I've been training for about like 2.5 years now.
That's cool. How was the transition from mostly a hiking and walking? Because that's a very cyclical, very steady, like I'm sure there's some clients that kind of drop off or whatever, but usually, I mean, people are pretty diehard and that's a really good source of income. How has the transition been to full-time training?
It's been pretty good. Yeah, we still retain a small amount of hiking clients, but just like overall, people are mostly home or uncomfortable with people coming in their house or whatever it is. So we lucked out because last year we opened up a small training facility and we do basically like structured daycare there. So that we luckily sort of made that pivot last year and it sort of worked out perfectly. That was our service that did stay open for the people that needed it. And we have a lot of first responders and doctors and things like that. So they obviously didn't have an option. Yeah. So it was kind of great. It worked out sort of perfectly where the demand we had this, this avenue and the demand sort of just funneled into that. And it's been phenomenal. Yeah, really. It's
awesome.
Been great. And I'm just happy to get my hands on as many dogs as I possibly can. So
yeah. Totally. So you said something very specific that I kind of want to lean into a bit is structured daycare.
My favorite kind.
Yes. That is something that Courtney and I, kind of explain to our clients constantly is that daycare isn't what people assume it is, right? Like that constant running around, playing and chaos and whatever, like that's not really good for the dog long term. So what does your daycare look like? When you say structured, what does that mean?
Sure. So really it consists of primarily when the dogs are out, they're working, we're working on basic obedience or working on confidence building or play. And these exercises are like specifically geared towards each individual dog. I mean, a lot of the exercises are sort of general. Multiple dogs are working on, the same thing, obviously. But it's tailored to what each dog needs. And when they're not out or working place or whatever it is, then they're crated. So they get a good amount of downtime, and then they get,
so they get to cycle through like, hey, we do engagement, interaction, confidence building stuff, and then I get to take a nap. And then we get up and we do it again, and then I get to take a nap. And I love that. It creates that cycle of calming at the end.
Right, exactly. And it's just one of those things where, owners just, they have a really hard time understanding, why does my dog need this downtime? Why do they need to be restricted in some way? Luckily, our clients, when they come on board, really know, like, we make it very clear what we stand for and what what we do here. So they're usually clients who just don't know better and are really, eager to learn more but just don't know. Practicing kind of calm, practicing neutrality around things and downtime. It's, you don't want your kid just jacked up on the playground all day.
Right.
That's just where, you're asking for poor events to take place, and you're just asking for an overtired, cranky, kid with no spoons, right? You have no spoons after all that. Even if it is considered sort of fun and play, everything needs to be in moderation, so everything taken to the extreme is still bad.
Yeah. Go figure. Moderation applies to dogs too.
Right.
Imagine that. Teresa, what about you? How did you come to Boston for the Dogs? And what's your role there?
Yeah, so I actually ended up getting my undergraduate degree in animal vet sciences at the University of Maine.
Cool.
So after graduating, I was super into behavior. I had a professor up there that I loved and got me into kind of just like communicating through bonds and relationships, but I didn't really know how to do that and apply it. So when I worked at this rescue, it kind of started getting me interested in that idea. But unfortunately they didn't have the resources. So I ended up going to Starmark Academy after that. Was supposed to stay for 3, ended up staying for 9. And I kind of came back to Boston, worked at one facility for a while, and then kind of took a break from dog training.
Yeah.
And I kind of was just looking for sort of a break. And then the job opportunity with Corey and Honler kind of popped up, and I just jumped at it. I've been kind of like stalking them for a little bit before I even applied. So I kind of knew how they had everything structured, and it just seemed right up my alley. So yeah, that's kind of how I ended up there.
That's cool. How long have you been with the company now?
Like 3-4 months now. So not too long.
So you're fresh.
Yeah.
You're super fresh. That's fun. Starmark is like right down the road from Courtney's house.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Super close. It's like
literally like Farm Road 1, Farm Road 2, and it's right fucking there.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. Pretty crazy. What's nuts is I never knew Starmark was like as big and renowned of a school until like I just really started networking a lot more and meeting more people who like traveled across the country. I just thought it was like if you lived in Texas, you went there because it was the closest thing. I never really thought of it as like this. I thought more of like Tar Heel and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Or like
I several years ago, like 10 years ago, I went and I like toured it and looked at it and was like, oh, this is an option. This is a road I could take. And then they showed me the price, and I was a kennel tech. And I was like, oh, that's not going to happen. So even though it was really close and really convenient, it wasn't in the cards for me. And I ended up getting my education a whole different way. But yeah, I did not know how big of a school it was. I thought it was just some random dog training school. And now that I've like, joined the IACP and met a ton of people, I'm like, oh, a lot of people went to Star Mark really close to me.
That's so funny. Yeah, I always envy people like you, Teresa, that like got to study something pertinent to the industry, something, kind of relatable, whether it was like, there's actual colleges popping up now that have curriculum based on it and on actual dog training and behavior modification and all that kind of stuff. But like, I also never got to go to a school. And now here I am looking at Ivan Balabanov's new trainer certification program going, where am I going to get 10 grand from?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Star Mark's a little bit of a cash cow, but their instructor, I don't know if you guys know them. His name's Will Garrido.
I do know him.
Basically the heart of the entire curriculum. And he was just a blast. So like learn from, feed off of, like he definitely looks at dog training as like sort of an art form, which is very cool to see. So
yeah, I struggle with that whole art form versus a job thing, because like to me it's so important that people understand it's the long haul and it's nuanced, and that like they should pay me for a long time. But at the same time, it's like you got to kind of solve problems and help people out as much as you can and plant the seeds as much as you can. And it kind of sucks that like not everybody can see that, I don't remember who it was. I don't know if you were there, Courtney. Somebody we were talking to was just like, quit treating it like an art. Stop it. Stop it. It is, but it isn't at the same time. Because you have to like take into consideration what customers want at the end of the day.
Right. Like I've tried to teach box work to like an older couple that had no interest in it. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stop. What do you want the dog to do? Lay on a bed? Okay. We'll teach the dog to lay on a bed. That's what we'll do. The dog could do so much more, but okay.
Yeah. So, Teresa, how do you feel like your college experience and Star Mark experience has like helped you, or do you feel like there's things that, there might be holes or gaps missing that you could only really get from practical hands-on experience?
Yeah. I mean, with my degree from the University of Maine, it's very lab science based and strictly livestock. So I pretty much had zero experience with like any form of dog training from that. I didn't really get too much from it. There was one class that I had that, again, like my professor I'm very close with now, that helped me kind of understand there are relationships we can form with dogs. And that's kind of what sort of struck me going into Star Mark Academy and feeding off of that and learning about that. And I even made a joke. I had to have a talk in front of like some incoming students at Star Mark. And I even told them I probably learned more from Star Mark about animal behavior than my actual undergrad degree. They all kind of got a laugh about that. So yeah, like it's like apples and oranges between the two programs.
That's fine. Okay, so what you're saying is I don't need to be jealous of people like you that actually got to study animal sciences in college. Got it. Cool. I feel better.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, I have always said that I think people get more out of hands-on experience than anything else. So although that stuff is really good, that the schooling, the labs, the education, like people like me are like, oh, am I missing something? But I had my hands on thousands of dogs through kennels and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I know a lot, and I can see a lot of stuff that, people who have been doing this a long time miss. And I'm like, oh, maybe my experience is worth something. So, then it sounds like that's what you took away from it working at Star Mark, was that, or going to school there, is you had hands-on experience with dogs. And that's when you got to learn the most, is because the dogs, they're great teachers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm super visual. So the program was perfect for me down there. And they give you completely green dogs that no one's ever touched before. They do maybe like a mini temperament test at the beginning to make sure the dog would fit the program. Yeah. But then you're kind of off on your own. You have a week to learn your dog leash manners, which is, pretty nice of them to give us. Doesn't hopefully take as long for some trainers now. But I mean, that's how I formed my bond with my own dog. He was a Star Mark dog and I couldn't let him go, and I took him home with me.
Awesome.
and just, being able to just get thrown into that, it definitely made me understand dog training a lot more and a lot better.
That's cool. So Corey, for you, what prompted you to want to start your own business?
I actually kind of lucked out in the sense that Hannelore had already started the business.
Okay.
And it was in year 3.
Okay.
And it kind of worked out that we were dating, and I had a previous background as a kid in college, was a dog walker. And that was actually kind of like ended up being my real passion. But I didn't know anything about training. And so I was often very miserable, and I didn't know how to help myself or help the dogs.
You were walking? You were miserable?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Like,
I just wanted to clarify why you're miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I considered going back to being a dog walker, but after being a trainer, I was like, I went through burnout, had a whole fun period of my life. And I was like, maybe I'll be a dog walker. And then I was like, actually, I don't think I'll be able to deal with the untrained dogs I have to walk. Like, my trainer brain won't let me be okay with this. I'll have to be like, no, we need to talk about this. This is a problem.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there are ways to set it up. Like, that was in a previous business that actually an uncle of mine, that an uncle of mine owned. And so that was kind of soured things quickly, mixing family and things like that. But I just had no idea how to help them. So, and also, 20-year-old kid looking at their friends graduating college in finance or whatever is going like, oh, no, gotta leave this eventually and get a big boy job. Can't work with dogs forever. So I kind of tried to go that route and wasn't happy there either.
Gross.
Yeah.
I can say that. I was an accountant for 3 years. So.
Oh, yeah. Bless you.
I know, right?
So it kind of worked out that I found Hannelore, and we were, we sort of had these joint skills, and it was like, let's link up. Let's put our heads together. Yeah. And, that was really, she blasted my world open in the sense that she was a balanced trainer, and she had access to all this content and all these trainers to follow. And that, once I started to go down that rabbit hole, it was, I think, like Chad Mackin was one of the first people she introduced me to, and Larry Crone and their content. And like, once I did that, I went down the rabbit hole, and then I got to dog training conversations, and it just evolved from there. So I'm very much self-taught, and basically all of my experience has been completely hands-on. And I just have like a natural propensity to learn. Like, that's just what I love to do. And dogs drive me to do that. So I'm just constantly seeking out new information, new ways. And, I guess in a way I'm just able to, fortunately put all those kind of scattered pieces together. In some ways I am totally envious of school, because it would be like, wow, what I would give to learn, condense all, 4 years worth of learning down in the 6 months. But I think there's a ton of value in both things, and a ton of value about learning it on the way, because I have, so many hours of dog handling, even just doing walking and hiking. That's still time with dogs, right? And like, it wasn't totally complacent, like, you're on a harness and we just walk like this because that's what I'm paid to do. It was very much like, no, these are the tools we need. This is how, I knew how to affect change. I just didn't have a wide range of training skills early on. Yeah. Just really, I went down the rabbit hole and just started just getting my hands on any content I possibly could.
Yeah. I think that's super important for anybody. But especially in this field where you're constantly working with people and you're constantly working with other animals that have their own thoughts and feelings about things, right? Is like, you should constantly be learning. And if you don't have that natural propensity, as you said, to keep learning and keep growing, I mean, you're just going to get stuck and get left behind. And eventually you're going to be considered cruel, probably. Like, there's probably shit we're doing today that's like groundbreaking stuff, and we're talking about using play to teach dogs stuff, and then like 20 years from now they're gonna be like, actually that's pretty fucked up. I mean, probably not, but like, you know what I mean? And so There's definitely plenty of times too where like I'm sure you've experienced this where like you've gone to a seminar, you've read a book, you've watched a video, and like the whole time you're like, holy shit, I do that. I just didn't know why. And sometimes just that validation and the edification of like, yeah, you're on the right track, or at least according to this person, you're on the right track, right? So I think that's one of the coolest things about organizations like IACP, and why also one of the benefits of platforms like these, like doing a podcast, for instance, is that you can talk to so many different people that do things totally different, and you're always going to find value in it. Minus anybody who's just abusing dogs. I don't want to talk to those people. This is fucked up.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I hate that it even goes on at all, but I probably don't even want to know how regular it is, unfortunately. But I preach until I'm blue in the face about like, if you're if you're a dog walker who wants to learn more about training, or you're anybody, right? Like podcasts are like the easiest and most kind of democratized way to gain information that you would have to pay like hundreds and thousands of dollars for, that people are just giving away for free. Like that's a really just take advantage of that. That's
YouTube, Facebook, like fucking Larry will accept your friend requests. Like he's
literally,
the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
So Corey, one of your favorite tools, we were talking about this the other day, is slip leads. Can I see your tattoo?
That's correct. I don't know how to show
so
it
for our listeners, Corey has this really cool, like winding slip lead tattoo on his forearm.
And a spoon.
And a spoon. The spoon. I saw your other tattoo that you just got. You already have more tattoos. Like you've gotten more new tattoos recently than I have in a long time. And I feel like that's not okay. And I need to catch up.
No, I caught the bug very hard. Like I got my first tattoo, like, I don't know, sometime like basically like a year ago. And now it's just been like one every other month. And
wow.
During COVID was like, I'm bored. I'm stuck in the house. I'm pissed off. Like the world's ending. And I'm just like, I just need a goddamn tattoo.
I need to feel something.
Yeah.
So why a slip lead?
So I don't know. I believe it came up in a podcast episode, and it might have been with Jay and Chad, where they were talking. There was some reference about like, what would you do, or what would your tools be like if all your tools were taken away? Like force free world. Worst case scenario, like force free world, like takes over the world tomorrow, and everything else is gone. I have my slip lead, and I find that it is a tool where it is, basically the most minimal thing, one of the most minimal things you can use, but you can still do so much teaching, and impact so much change. And it's, just a little bit of nylon, rope, basically.
Yeah. You don't even need a collar. That's the coolest part too. Like, like if you just don't know where the collar, the harness is that you use on your dog, and your dog usually runs around naked, it's like, cool, just boop. Here you go. Let's do this. Anytime that I just like bust one out, like if let's say like the client doesn't really need a slip lead for whatever reason, or whatever. And then I just bust one out and I just use it to get the dog out of the kennel. They're like, what is that? And I'm like,
they always want to know what that magic tool is. And I'm like, it's just a slip lead. You can get one if you want. Like, I think you should probably, but it's just a slip lead. It's not.
They're like $12 on Amazon. Yeah. You won't go broke.
Nothing fancy.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got to try really hard to screw it up, honestly. Like there's some tools you can screw up really easy, slip lead's not one of them. So I feel safe giving that to almost anyone.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. You got to really like be putting in that work to really mess it up.
Right.
That's cool. So do you, whenever like you guys onboard new staff, I know obviously you're like right now, nobody's really onboarding anybody new. Do you have like a whole spiel about like tools and like, what does your training process look like when you guys have employees come on?
A little bit. It's a new process because we haven't done it. Yeah, we know we're we're newer in terms of I've hired tons of walkers.
Well,
and hikers.
you brought on Teresa in the last couple months,
right.
So let's
What's
take
her training?
What's her training like?
Well, it was mainly kind of taking the first kind of, I don't know, would you say maybe like a month or so, maybe 3 or 4 weeks to kind of feel out exactly kind of what we do. She did a lot of like shadowing and watching me. And then I would just watch her work dogs in the lab, and like I let people just like work, in the beginning, especially, kind of judging based on whatever their background is. If I feel like they have a good bit more exposure and they're not so green, then I'll allow them the agency to kind of just like take the wheel and let me watch you and let me see what you're doing. And then let me reciprocate, I'll work and you can watch me, and I'll, kind of really talk through exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and see how that lines up with what you were doing. And I'll ask, my trainers to do the same thing. All right, why are you doing that? Just
I really love that. Just so you know, I really love that. That's actually my favorite way to teach. Also, if the person's mildly competent, right?
Right.
Because it's not always going to look exactly the same on me as it looks with you. The point is the connection between you and the dog. Is the message getting through? Are we learning something? Are we communicating? Are we cooperating? And going back and asking that question, why did you do it like that?
Right.
Did it work?
Right.
Is there a different way you could have done it? Maybe next time try doing it softer or harder, depending on the situation. And that's beautiful. I just really like the way you explain that.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Right. And like, there are, I always kind of live by the fact that like there's 100 different ways to do any one thing in dog training. And so I'm just really curious about the outcome. And I am really just genuinely curious, like, do you have a better process? Like, I don't want to like tell you, like, throw everything, like you have to follow in my footsteps. Like, you might have a better way. And I want to know about that. And that's why, like, I'll just watch people so that I don't feel like, or they don't feel like, oh, I got to do it this way because this is how he does it. And like, I kind of want to like be that guy with binoculars up in the tree, just like observing, like from a safe distance. Like, I just want to kind of learn how everyone does
not
things
in a
on their
creepy
own.
way at all, right? No,
this totally sounded terribly creepy, and I apologize. But
you don't want to interfere. That's the point. Is like
a fly on the wall. You want to be a fly on the wall.
A fly there. Yes, that's way
less creepy.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the binoculars I think is what made it creepy. Not even being
in the tree at a distance. Like, it seems really set up, or like you've done it before. So.
Corey's gonna be like, I'm never gonna be on your fucking show again.
I had like this safari set up in my head,
Okay,
like
okay, sure. We'll go with that. Safari.
I'm just not gonna win today.
And I think that's so like important too. Is like it has to match your personality. Like, I am so much louder and faster than Courtney, and I always have to kind of remind myself to slow down. Right. Whereas like, she's going to have some other strengths and weaknesses. And so being able to draw on each other and be like, oh, I really like what you did there, I think is super important. And I think that's something that a lot of trainers in general struggle with their clients is like, let them flounder and struggle and experiment and like just sit there and frickin' watch them, because they got to feel the pain sooner or later. And it's better if they can feel the pain while you're there so you can give them feedback and stuff. So.
Yeah, you only learn in this game like through repetition. So I have to let you just take the reps, and I'm here to kind of shorten the curve for you and like give you tips. But a lot of this is just like learning how to move your body or learning kind of the kind of dance. Even just like for owners, it's like hard to like, okay, like I have to watch the behavior, and then I like click or yes, and then I give the food. But the food, like, I can't have my hands in my pocket before, it's like simple things like that sometimes I'm just there to like, help you with that sort of thing and timing.
Yeah. I definitely don't do well with micromanagement at all. And I have to remind myself sometimes of that in lessons, is like, you're micromanaging, Misha. You would hate this. You would fucking hate what you're doing to this person right now.
Yeah, I don't do that.
And it's so hard though, because like if you're a business owner and you've got employees, like they are representative of you and your company, and it's really hard not to want to micromanage the shit out of them. And that's obviously easier and harder for, certain personality types and whatever. But like, I genuinely commend you, because I feel like if I had employees, I'd be a fucking mess. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not there yet. We'll see.
I will say that one of the things that helps is like Hanor and I really do our homework ahead of time. Yeah. And Teresa probably thought we were crazy, but like we brought her in like 3 times. And it was really like, I mean, we're sort of informal sometimes. So it was kind of like, hey, just like hang out with us. We're just going to like chill and work dogs. Like it's going to be like low pressure, Nice. I don't want to feel like I have to be present for someone's success. I want them to feel confident and comfortable, and kind of taking the lead and just doing whatever they feel is right, as long as the product is good and the outcome is correct and the dogs are happy. That's the main thing I care about.
Teresa, has he been successful at that? Has he provided that environment for you?
Yeah.
Do you feel
now's the time? If you need help, if you need help, blink 3 times.
No, definitely. I mean, I tell Corey and Hanor they're probably the best bosses I've ever had. Awesome. And because they do push me as a trainer. I've worked in places that have kept me kind of stagnant, and it's basically just a wheel of sit, place, down, let's go, sit, place, down, let's go. And they've definitely kind of pushed me to be like, why don't you try this differently? Or why are you doing it this way? And it's definitely, like criticism, but it's not like, well, why are you doing it this way?
Not being grilled.
More like, yeah, exactly. It's more so like, hey, why don't we try things a little bit differently? And I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, when they brought me in the 3rd time, I'm like, if they don't give me this job, I'm gonna go.
Like, guys, I got shit to do. Like, I can't just keep coming in and hanging out.
Exactly. I'm like, it's a pandemic.
Right. Jesus.
Yeah, but no, I mean, the first time I walked in there, I was like, yeah, I love this place.
That's awesome.
It's small in a sense where it feels like there is a sense of community there. Everyone's awesome. Everyone wants their dogs to be better and get better. But they also give me that free range of, you want to teach this certain class, you want to handle your private lessons this way, then do that. So it's been great. That's
awesome.
Nice.
That's super cool. Well,
are you getting paid extra to say that?
Wink, wink, hint, hint.
No, but speaking of getting paid extra to say things, Misha, tell people about our sponsor.
Yes, that's what I was just about to do, Courtney. Thank you for that lovely segue. That was
You're
perfect.
Welcome.
So our sponsor today is Puppyscapes. They are this super awesome Texas-based company that makes basically like playground equipment for your dog. So they've got all kinds, anything from like little jumps and little platforms to like these huge intricate systems where like there's ladders and suspension bridges and all kinds of
A-frames
cool stuff.
And platforms.
Yes.
And it's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Go check it out. Puppyscapes.com. Super cool stuff. They can customize it with your logo, paint it any color you want, and ship it anywhere in the U.S.
Definitely U.S. and Canada.
Definitely U.S. and Canada, maybe.
Don't know about worldwide, though.
Don't know about worldwide.
Might be really expensive because that's probably heavy as shit.
Also, pandemic. I don't know how that goes. Yeah. But if you ask Patrick, he'll probably let you know. Patrick's the guy that runs it. So just fill out one of those contact forms on the website, puppyscapes.com, and let him know that you heard about us on Super Serious Dog Podcast, and you get a discount, which is
5% for individual items, like if you just get one thing, or if you're buying multiple things, it's 7%. So
buy multiple things and you get a bigger discount.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But other than that, that's all the time we have for this episode. Corey, Teresa, thank you guys so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. For our listeners, if you guys want to get in touch with Corey, like if you guys live in Boston and you want your dog to be hiked, walked, trained, etc., you can go to bostonforthedogs.com. I know they're also super active on their Instagram. I don't know about your Facebook page. I didn't stalk that part.
Very active Facebook as well.
Yeah. So go check that stuff out. They have a lot of cute doggos and adorable content and stuff like that. But as always, if you guys have questions or anything like that, you want to just tell us what a great job we're doing, you can leave us a review on whatever platform you listen to.
Be specific.
And be specific about what you like about our show. And then if you want to support us monetarily, you can definitely go check out our Patreon. $1 a month gets you early access. So instead of waiting till Fridays to get stuff, you can get that stuff Monday, or on if you go on the higher tiers, you get extra content. So you get like the next hour-long episode where we're going to continue our interview of Corey and Teresa here.
There's also a bunch of shit on there. More shit. There's more shit on there. Go look at it.
There's cute videos of us doing fun stuff, fun training stuff with our dogs. So check it out, patreon.com/Super Serious Dog Podcast. And then you can email us at superseriousdogpodcast@gmail.com. Jesus, that's a mouthful.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye. And you have to dance at the end.
There's
we never
music.
tell anybody until the
There's
end.
music. Yeah, dance.
This is the most unusual.
That works. We
Why
like
does
it.
everybody always do this? It's hilarious.